Hopefully it doesn't make too much noise.
All right. Okay. Great. All right. And just click main and we're good to go. No, just go ahead and start. Yeah, go ahead and start. Nope. Did you switch over? All right, then we're live. And so sorry about that. We're trying out Jason's connection as we've been having a little bit of trouble with mine. Nah, it's it is all right, man. But yeah, so we're live, and this is the Nice Place to Brew happy hour for April 9th. And with us tonight, we have Caleb from the Yakima Valley Hops, and we thought we'd get together and just talk hops, homebrew, beer, anything that we want to. So
sounds awesome.
Thank you.
I appreciate the invitation.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Yes. Yep. Yakima Valley. It's on the dry side of the Cascade Mountains.
Okay. All right. And if I remember your we are, yeah, we're gonna have a few other people coming in. So, and if I remember your profile, you said you're the chief marketing officer there.
Sure. Yeah, we all do a lot of different things, though. So.
Yeah.
We're a pretty small company, so everybody does a lot.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Sounds good. So, in case you're unaware of who we are, we're a home brewing podcast that's been around for a while. We, do it on about a monthly basis, and we just talk about various things in homebrew, breweries that we've encountered, and tips and tricks that we have picked up over the years that we feel could help other people in their homebrewing adventures. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Ooh, so I do have a little tea that I'm finishing up. It's still 4 o'clock here, so on the clock, but fancy mug. But I did come equipped with one of the hometown heroes, Bale Breaker. So IPA number 3.
Okay.
Yeah.
All
so
right.
Crack into that.
All right.
Yeah, this is Jeff Perkins.
Hey, just use the restroom.
Hey, Jeff.
Hey, how's it going? How's it going? Be right back. Hold on.
Sounds good. All right. And we have Scott from WM by Brews, another podcast out of Buffalo, New York. So
can you hear me?
We can.
Yes. All right. It's finally working on this computer with this webcam.
All right.
Yes, he is. Yep. Yakima.
Yeah. Yeah. This is how we just need a few more states to represent. So, Jason, I told you before the live stream that I'm going to make you jealous tonight. And here's how I know. I am going to be drinking Hardywood Baltic Sunrise. It's Baltic Porter, based, our conversation last time, with locally roasted coffee beans. So you remember we talked about should I make a coffee stout or coffee porter or a regular porter? This is kind of my way of trying it out and seeing what should we do. So. All right. So while we wait for those two to come back, Scott, what are you drinking tonight?
I am drinking an Allegheny IPA from 4 Mile Brewing out of Olean, New York, which is about 45 minutes away from me.
Okay.
On the Allegheny River, which doesn't straddle, it crosses New York and Pennsylvania.
Oh yeah, I'm well familiar with the Allegheny River. Yeah. So I believe it is. Yeah. Yeah.
Yep.
So
it's a good one.
Yeah. We'll wait for these guys to come back and we can start talking to them about what's going on with their business. But what's going on with you guys while we're waiting? Nice. Oh yeah, that's true. Yes. What do you have? Hop Slam. Oh, bells. Okay. Wow. It's always fun though, going from 0 to 10%. Yeah. Might not be. So, all right.
It's not here.
Yeah, so like you said, Caleb, you're still technically you're on the clock, but it's we like to call this our happy hour, and it's we just want to have a good time and talk about what's going on. So I reached out to you guys because I thought it might be fun to kind of talk to you about what's coming up. I know right now it's hop rhizome season, and looking through your website, I think there's a lot of things in there that a lot of people don't realize that you do that I thought might be good to talk about. So you want to kind of take us through a little bit of a high level of
Yeah, for sure. And I do apologize. My wife went on our weekly grocery run, and it ended up taking over 3 hours at this point now. So I got a little kiddo in the background.
And no worries. Yeah,
I might need to go juggle a baby here for a minute, but hopefully Jeff jumps back on here pretty quick. Otherwise, my little 5-year-old daughter could run the interview. She's pretty
okay.
Well, I can't get him to calm down.
I know. I'll go talk to her.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Hey, Tony.
Hey, Jason, George. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah. Let's give Caleb a minute to take care of that. Tony, you're from our homebrew club out in Illinois. And yeah, we've been talking about having you on for a little while. So gotta ask the question we ask everybody else. What you drinking tonight?
This is a single hop IPA with Mandarina Bavaria.
Okay.
Brewed around December time, and right in at 7%. Original gravity somewhere around 1065. So quite tasty. There's probably about this much left in the keg, so it will probably be gone before I get unquarantined or unwork from home. Actually, I should say the word.
Unworked from home. Yes. Yeah. All right. So nice home brew. That, like we said before, that's why we make it. So, I'm glad you're taking advantage of that. So, hey, Jeff. Good to see you
how's it going,
back.
guys? How's it going?
Hey. So I was just talking to Caleb and saying that, we thought it might be fun to have you guys on because I was looking through your website and reaching out to you, and I'm noticing that it looks like you guys do a whole lot more than a lot of people would suspect. You know, where you're well respected in the homebrew circles, supplying hops and hop pellets and whole cone and such to people. But you know, looking around, I'm seeing brewing ingredients, equipment, sanitation, all kinds of stuff that you guys are doing. So I'm wondering if you could kind of expand on that and kind of talk about your mission.
Okay, so you know, we originally started this company really catering to the homebrew market, and you know, in the beginning days, we did have a huge push towards carrying a lot of these sort of other, you know, most of them are either consumable items or items that have longer shelf life. You know, as we progressed, though, we realized that the hop side really took off a lot more. So we weren't able to really, you know, dedicate a ton of time necessarily to expanding that out, which we hope to do, just because the craft beer, you know, scene has blown up so much more significantly too. So, and you can only do so much when you're a small company. But as we're growing, we hope to implement more of those items into our portfolio. The equipment side, I think, will leave to some of the other bigger online retailers. Another thing that they've really kind of figured out with their model is to provide free shipping over X amount of dollars, which we need to figure out because it doesn't really play well with hops currently, just because it's, I mean, that's what our focus is. But we hope to release something with that. I mean, right now, kind of our main focus for the homebrew market is launching our new packaging, which is the hop cans. I'm sure we'll talk about that at some point. But yeah, so we're, it might seem a little, and we're also launching a new website. I should preface that too. So with the new launch, we should have, you know, more items available to homebrewers. I know there's been some online retailers that have gone out of business or have consolidated. So it seems right in the marketplace to maybe pursue those other items more. Or we could always use more feedback from you guys or the, you know, homebrewers in general. What are items that people would really want to see more of on our website? I mean, that would be great feedback. But yeah, the equipment, yeah, like I said, the equipment side though, I think we're just gonna leave. It's just so much money dedicated towards getting those items, and there's so much bigger items logistically to figure out in terms of order fulfillment and logistics. So we might cut back on, you know, I mean, it's pretty base stuff anyways, but we might cut back on some of the equipment end of things. But sanitization, malts, yeast, I think we're really going to focus on and really kind of push those more through our website. Like I was saying, consumables.
Okay, so you had talked about the can thing, and that's one thing that kind of stood out to me. You have these cans that are these can packs that are for hopping your beer. Can you kind of explain that how that works a little bit with as opposed to just using the pellets?
Yeah, so we were our normal packaging before the can launch has been Mylar bags, which is kind of industry standard. It seems I haven't seen any other packaging outside of that from other hop merchants or distributors. So the inherent issue that we were seeing with our bags is because we vacuum seal and everyone else kind of positive flushes them, is, you know, that they're prone to rubbing against each other or pressure temperature changes, which could create these micro punctures within the bags themselves, which is not an incredibly big deal, but you know, it's something to be addressed on our end. And then also would be the marketing applications, right? So we're kind of limited with the bags in terms of what we can put on them for marketing. So one of the advantages of the cans is that you have a 360 pretty much marketing opportunity with the labels. Also with the canning line too comes with the automation, right? So right now we're hand packing. We have to normal hot packages come in 44 pounds or 20 kilograms. They're all based on the kilogram system because international has always been really big with the craft scene in general. So it's just industry standard. So which would be 44 pounds. But basically we take those, we break them down into the increments of 2 ounce, 8 ounce, and 1 pound increments. with the new can packaging, what we're trying to do is we can fit 8 ounces into a 16-ounce can. So if you order 1 pound, you'll get 2 cans. So it's kind of nice in the sense of if you only need 8 ounces, you'll open 1 can, you can keep the other one in the freezer. So it reduces the exposure to oxygen and UV and so forth, which is nice. And you'll still get a price discount buying bulk. So we still want to make sure that that's there. And then the other size that we have is an 8-ounce can that we can fit up to 4 ounces. Currently, we're only doing 2. That might change. We might add the 4-ounce increment. It seems more and more people are using, hop usage rate is exploding with the, New England hazy IPAs. So we are looking at that. When we were originally looking at this idea, the biggest thing was the lids, right? So what we found is that the 2 major manufacturers of cans are Crown and Ball. And I think it was Crown who released a 360 lid, right? So you think of it as a tennis ball can. Is where you pull the lid off, 360 degrees, opens a wide mouth. So that worked really well. So once Caleb can start talking more, I'll go and find a can and maybe open it for you guys and show you guys. I think I have a package in my house. But yeah, so then with the canning line, we have the automation. So what that really helps us in terms of a logistic perspective, instead of breaking them down as demand needs them, we can now do bigger runs of these packagings and use a lot less labor and then dedicate that labor towards order fulfillment. So that was kind of the other part of going with cans. Also, there is already a pre-existing infrastructure, or I guess I should say research and development on can saver lids. So, I mean, that was a big concern of people was, once you open these things, how do you preserve the hops if you don't use the entire 8 ounces? That technology has kind of been there with saving soda. So there's soda can savers that we are currently shipping out with the purchases of our cans. And then we will have them available on our website at some point and maybe even branded. And then to knock out that headroom for oxygen, we've suggested, and we've tested all of these before we invested in a can line, but oxygen absorbers work really well. Also, argon or any sort of innate or inert gas, such as like the wine industry uses, cans of argon, flush out that headspace, boom, cap it, and essentially you get rid of all the oxygen.
So it wouldn't be perfect, but could you purge it with like CO2 from a beer gun? Would
yeah,
that help
exactly,
as
right?
well?
So CO2, nitrogen, argon are probably the 3 gases that I would use in terms of evacuating that oxygen headspace for whatever's left you can. And those products are available on Amazon. So those products are around. We haven't carried them on our website yet. We plan to carry them and sell them on our website, but for now, a lot of people have CO2 right hooked up at their personal setups anyways, in terms of for bottling or whatever. So, or even conditioning and drafts. So yeah, use that pre-existing infrastructure. If not, again, there's websites that you can buy these cans really inexpensively. I mean, again, it's been there. That technology has been there. So, the third part of that is that we can recycle these cans. So it's yeah. Even though there is a little bit more packaging, there is no system to recycle Mylar. So it's actually really bad for the environment. This is nice because everyone knows what to do with cans in terms of recycling. So we saw it as a green perspective as well. There were so many advantages that it just really made sense and lined up for what we were trying to do, both branding and from a logistical perspective.
So it seems like when I look at like one of your can packs here, can pack number 2 has Azeka, Amarillo, Cascade, and Cashmere. So it seems to be a mix of flavor and bittering hops. Is that kind of the intention that you're going for?
So Caleb can talk about that, but the main reason for that is that we got to turn over inventory, and we can't do it logistically at one time, right? We got to slowly phase these things in. And so the idea was to go through the gamut of different varieties and target the ones that are the most popular, the most we sell of. to get those into our inventory first. Caleb?
Yeah, sorry about that. I'm back now.
No problem.
And yeah, eventually every variety will be able to, be purchased individually. You can buy an 8-ounce can of, Centennial, Citra, anything you want individually. We're rolling out the can packs, to help with inventory. But then too, we're trying to, get some fun and exciting varieties together. We put Strata in the last one. Medusa was in that one too. Featured Cashmere in another one. So yeah, a lot of good varieties.
But we're releasing them in packs currently. They will be available on the site individually here soon. Again, we gotta slowly transition our inventory over. So it's not just like it's a time process, right? So
no, that totally makes sense. But I will tell you, honestly, looking at it, the can pack, so you get two 8-ounce cans, so a pound each of each, and you get 4 of these. So you get 4 pounds of hops for $64 right now. And this isn't, I'm not trying to just like hype you guys up since you're on the podcast. I really, that's a great price. And I think that is, and considering that, like you said, you've purged those cans, looks like you use nitrogen.
So
we purged them twice.
Maybe describe the process of that. Right.
So as the empty can comes down, it's actually dosed with liquid nitrogen first. Then it goes underneath the weigh-right machine, and then the hop pellets are dumped in. And then right before the lid goes on top, and they're 360 lids, so they tear all the way off. Right before the pellets go in, it gets dosed with another dose of nitrogen gas, and then the lid gets slapped on, and then it gets run through the labeler. So yeah, it's under.
So that's going to keep for a long time.
Oh yeah. It's even below industry standards. So like industry standard is about 2% oxygen in the environment, and we've regularly been testing cans under 1%, but we've had some that are virtually 0. So,
wow. Do you have any predictions based on that? I mean, obviously you probably don't have any real world examples, but do you have any predictions on shelf life for one of these unopened cans?
So the standard industry, or the standard in the industry is about 5 years of usability in the standard Mylar bags with 2%. So we can safely say 5-year shelf life, but reasonably, a little bit longer.
Yeah, and that's similar to Mylar packaging too. So I mean, it's in the brewery world that's the same case, right? So if you get if you're a brewery, you get a 44-pound box, they last for 3 to 5 years, depending on the temperature and the conditions you keep these hops in, right? So we highly advise, as soon as you get these things, store them in cold temperatures, either the fridge or the freezer, for maximize longevity.
And actually, another point for the storage is we offer, and to start, we've been shipping out these silicone lids that just go right on top of the cans. They're food safe silicone. They seal up perfectly, so you can actually just purge them with CO2. If you have a CO2 line at your house, or we've experimented with those wine preservers, and those are usually like a mix of CO2, argon, nitrogen. You can just hit it with a little shot of that, seal the lid back up, and they're practically back to factory standards.
Now the 8-ounce cans, I mean, those are really intended for a one-use batch, so you would recycle the can right after you use it. I mean, I don't see really necessarily a need per se to save 2 ounces per. But I mean, you could. Right?
Well, I mean, so I don't know about the rest of these guys, but for me and a lot of mine, 8 ounces is an aggressive amount of hops. I
was talking about the 2-ounce cans that we have.
Oh, right? The 2-ounce cans. That I could definitely see.
Not the 2-ounce cans. I get that, but the 2-ounce cans are really intended for 5-gallon batches. You're using it at one-time use kind of scenario. So.
Sure. Yeah.
I usually run through about 8 ounces a batch, so that's about right.
Yeah, you do. I've drank your beers. You do. Oh man. So the other thing that really stood out to me was, and because this has been a thing that I've wanted to dabble in now that I have some more ground space here, is rhizomes and growing hops here. I know that you guys do some hop rhizomes, and obviously you grow hops. So what what suggestions would you have for somebody that's fixing to grow some hops at their house?
So just a quick note: we don't grow any of our hops. We work closely with the farms in the valley, so we do have a really close connection. We're out in the fields pretty much every day, every week, anyways. But we don't, necessarily have our own fields. We work closely with the local farmers, though. But yeah, I got 6 right in my front yard here, and they're really easy to grow. They kind of grow like weeds, so you gotta put a little thought into where you put them. But really, if they just have sun, well drained soil, you're gonna be able to grow some hops.
We should mention that Caleb and a couple other employees in our marketing department came out with a actual a rhizome growing guide that's available free to anyone online. Maybe Caleb can send you the link so anyone can download this thing. We had so many questions regarding growing rhizomes that we thought it would be really beneficial for homebrewers or anyone trying to grow hops to consult the manual as opposed to emailing us and personally with questions. So,
well, dang, I know. Yeah, I know what I'm reading tomorrow. Okay.
Okay. Caleb, what varieties you got going?
Yeah, that's a good question.
I got Cascade Centennial, Chinook, Cashmere, and then actually a little Neo Mexicanus variety, but that one's
okay.
I assume you mean hops.
Yes, we do.
Yeah, I've got a few Cascades on the southern wall, so they're coming into year 3 this year, and so I was actually just looking. The little babies came up last weekend, so they're about this far out of the ground. And I live in Chicago.
Nice.
I've got about 8 inches right now at my house. That's sorry, about 8 inches at my house.
So one thing to keep in mind too is that this guide is intended for growing these hops. Now we don't have a collective information on what varieties grow well in certain areas of the United States. I mean, we're very used to like the most prolific area in the world for growing hops. So that is going to be some information that would be really beneficial to be sharing out there to everyone. Hey, Cascades grow really well in Chicago area or whatever. And maybe over time people can have a better understanding of what varieties to buy for their area. So
that's yeah.
Well, I'm coming into year 3, so mine are still fairly new. One of the gentlemen at our homebrew clubs had his for 5 years, and he said year 3 was kind of the big harvest. Year 1 was really sparse. It was just kind of the bowl bind and a stick. Year 2 was much better, and so I'm actually pretty excited about year 3 to see what's going to come off of it.
I've been going for about 6 years on mine. I've got Cascade and Columbus at the house, and they take over now at 6 years in. I might be sundowning them a little bit, but I haven't seen any decline in the past 2 or 3 years. They take over an entire side of the house.
So in Yakima Valley, the apex of production actually is year 2. Yeah, bizarrely. They do get a harvest out of year 1. Actually, Oregon struggles with year 1 even production, so they don't really even it actually takes them 2 years to actually produce hops. So they're a little more conscious about what varieties they put in because of the cost of investment. They realize it's gonna be a 2-year thing. But the cool thing about Yakima is that they can switch out these varieties and get 1-year production. So like even on a macro scale of looking at that, it's why it's kind of conducive to grow hops up here as well. Idaho also sees year 1 production. I think they're on the same parallel as Yakima if you look geographically. And then if you look at where Yakima's at, in terms of its it runs the same lateral line as the growing regions in France for wine and Germany. It's very specific because of the amount of light exposure, right? So sun is one of the biggest things involved with hop growing. So is those light cycles. So
yeah, and you mentioned hops kind of being a big time investment. The cool thing about them is that you get this little runty looking stick. You stick it in the ground, and like 7 days later, you have 6 inches of growth. So it is kind of like a fun, active like growing process. It is, yeah, it's cool to see the growth. They can get up to 20 feet high. Most of the farmers around here run 16 to 18 feet. You can run them. I run mine like 10 feet at home. They do hit that pretty early, and then I kind of like train them horizontally. But I mean, they get big, they get green, they get bushy. We have a bunch of people that even just buy them for like landscaping. They dig them underneath their pergola, and then they have a natural shade.
Yeah.
So
Wow, that's
it's kind of
interesting.
fun. Yeah.
I just got back from Australia and their harvest, and they're like 22, 24 feet high. It's amazing. They're probably the highest like Charles
Wow.
has seen. It becomes a liability though when you're actually harvesting things when they become taller. I mean, there's a whole list of other things involved with that, but it's kind of amazing
I can
how
see
tall
that.
they grow. Just in general, I was astounded, to be honest, to see it.
Well, and like before, like all the heavy machinery, like top cutter, bottom cutters, people drove around and pick up trucks with ladders and machetes, just hacking these things down. So, yeah.
Because they get heavy. Yeah. So do you guys, so Caleb, when you grow yours, are you growing them on like, is it the choir wire, or are you using a lattice, or how are you growing yours?
I grow mine on that coconut. Yeah, that coconut fiber.
Okay.
They really like it, how hairy it is,
Right.
because they don't have like suckers or tendrils. They just have kind of like little barbs. So they as they climb up, those little barbs grab onto the hairs. So they really like that, but they can grow on anything.
I'm sure if you wanted to, your intended purpose was for shade, maybe a lattice would be better though, right? Do you think?
Well, yeah, and I've heard that it works well on the lattice, but the pain in the ass of it is getting it out of the lattice afterwards, and that's what that's where it tends to be a problem.
Shade wise, I've tried to
don't
put
know,
them
like, if
horizontal
it's-
before, and they don't go horizontal for me. They will go vertical, and then you have to put them horizontal after they reach a certain height. Is that they won't grow?
Yeah,
They won't
it's pretty
grow
much a
horizontal. They'll
daily-
continue to try to go up.
Yeah, and it's always in a clockwise motion. But yeah, it's a daily thing where you got to wrap them around to the side if you want them to go horizontally.
Oh, so you have to, when you say train, you mean you have to kind of start them on that process so they start growing that direction.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense.
I will say though that there is, I mean, depends what kind of house we're talking about, because New Mexicanas, which are native to the United States, right? This other species, they're actually found to grow horizontally because they're used to climbing on just rocks down in New Mexico, and they don't really have things that they could climb up of. And so
Looks like Scott might be.
I can share pictures apparently.
Oh, there we go.
There you go.
This is after 5 years of growth.
Yeah, those look beautiful. Hey.
Yeah.
A Cascade left, Columbus right, and they take over that side of the house.
Wow.
Cool.
This is in Western New York, just outside of Buffalo, and that wall gets sun most of the summer.
So the hop industry started in New York too, and then it kind of went on a Western movement at some point. Yeah.
So, Scott, when you're done for your season, how much do you usually get out of one of the vines?
I get decoration.
Oh, you don't use them?
I brewed with it 1 year.
Okay.
But I'm almost positive we talked about this a couple of weeks ago, but I drink, so I'm not sure. But I don't use them because they soak up so much wort.
That's right. You did mention that. Yeah.
That's a problem. That's a problem for fresh hop beers too, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mhm.
For that one, I actually pelleted.
Mhm.
I had done a fresh hop just before that.
Cheater.
Yeah, but I will agree with Scott. I had harvested pretty much 2 pounds, and it was my first actual whole hop thing. And there were two things that I really enjoyed about it. One was it was really fun because I was actually picking them while I was lautering, getting ready to throw them. I mean, literally right into the boil. But when I got done with the boil and I was knocking out, the wort was so incredibly clear because it grabbed all of those proteins on the way out, which was kind of new for me. Because normally you got your trube and everything in the bottom, all of those, that big stack of hops at the bottom makes its own little filter and sucked all that out. So that was kind of a positive of it, was the wort that did go into the fermenter was really, really clear when I went into priming.
Okay. Yeah. So here's one thing that I thought might be an interesting question for you guys. We talked about this, and of the guys that are growing, most of you guys said Cascade at one point, and that really strikes home with me because that's one of my favorite hops. I just find its flavor to be really good. It's super versatile, and it's just really so that is my favorite hop. So if it's not going to get you guys in trouble as a hop producer, what is your favorite variety of hop out there?
Interesting. To grow for home use?
Well, I would say to use. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, sure.
Because
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'll mention, there are patented proprietary varieties, so that's Citra, Mosaic, Sabro, things like that. All of those, they're owned by the hop breeding company, and then all of the rhizomes, the root material that's available to grow at your house, those are the USDA public varieties. So Cascade, Chinook, Centennial, Cashmere is my favorite one out of that bunch to grow at home. I think it's just great. Fun to brew with, and it grows pretty well from my experience.
I don't grow any
Okay.
hops. I do not grow any hops at all. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm surrounded by so many. I'm just like, I don't need it anymore.
So what about to use? Like because I assume you guys are home brewers, but what about to use?
I like using cashmere a lot too. It's been around for like 3, 4, maybe even 5 years now, but it's really started to get a lot more attention, a lot more acreage recently, and yeah, it's really nice. Like it's a very fruity hop, fruit forward, but it's not like one-dimensionally fruity like some of the other hops are. Where it's like a very specific fruit. This one's more like well-rounded and wholesome, and yeah, it brews just really light, delicate, pleasant beers. I've brewed hazies, IPAs, but then I've also done I did like a nice Kolsch, fermented it like crazy cold, and it just turned out like crispy and beautiful.
Nice. Jeff, what about you?
For me, I love Mosaic. I feel any beer you put Mosaic in, it reminds me of like the auto tune of the hop industry. Like no matter what you put it in, you're automatically gonna like it. It's gonna great, You don't like absolutely love it. You don't absolutely hate it. You're like, is this cool? I don't know, but so I think that El Dorado is another big one that I enjoy a lot of, and then a new one that we're really pushing for this next year too, which I haven't brewed with it, but I've had a lot of good beers with it, is Strata. And they've really done a good job increasing the acreage, and so it's really, and they're getting it to us, which is it's actually owned by Indie Hops out of Oregon. And they worked with Oregon State University or OU, I forget which one.
It came out of the OSU plant breeding program.
Yeah. Okay, so that hop is phenomenal, standalone single hop beer. I haven't had really anything else like it. So those three are probably the ones that are on my radar currently.
And Strata's like you said, it's a relatively new one. That's a daughter of another hop variety, isn't it? But I don't remember what it is. Do you guys remember offhand?
I think it was I know one of the parentage. It was just like a named variety, like X331 or something like
Yeah,
that.
you're right. It's
Okay.
it's X331. Look in our website. But
Okay, yeah.
here's the deal: that they crossbreed cluster with a lot of these varieties because cluster is such a hardy variety agronomically that they try to infuse those genetics in there in terms of total output of they say bales per acre, and then disease resistant, mold resistant, and they look at those things too. So they'll take an older variety that's been around forever that has those characteristics, and then try to infuse them with other varieties that have a lot more of the terpene characteristics to try to get a variety that that they're trying to get certain profiles from. So flavor profiles.
What about you semi-pros? What are your favorites?
Who are you talking to?
The rest of you guys.
I am a severe home brewer.
So okay. All right. What about you severe home brewers? What's your favorite
There you go.
variety?
If I'm coming down to ones that I want to brew with, it's probably I brew with Citra, Simcoe, and Cascade the most. And I like Simcoe, and I know some people will say it's catty, but it's one of the ones that I end up using a lot. Mosaic, Galaxy, they kind of give off a Fruity Pebbles kind of taste to them. But as far as West Coast IPAs are a favorite.
Okay.
So the Cascades and the Centennials, the Amarillos. I mean, I grow the Cascade in Columbus specifically for it here at the house. Even though I used them one year and then I haven't used them since. But that was the original idea behind it.
Okay. All right. Tony, what about you?
So when I do a single hop, I love Citra. So I do a Citra Pale Ale, which is just kind of my favorite. Unfortunately, it's zombie dust-ish, but it's just such a great flavor. But I've been into what I call the Sam mixture lately, which is Simcoe, Amarillo, Mosaic, and just playing around with the different weights of those. I'm kind of a severe home brewer too. Jason's seen my system, so I tend to buy hop by the pound. And so if you got 3 pounds of hops, you can, between those 3 bags, you can kind of play around quite a bit and have some fun. And I really like those 3 in that West Coast. I did some hazies, and that style is just a little heavy for me. On my post or my Facebook, I usually tend to post hashtag, make IPA clear again. I'm kind of a fan of that.
Oh man. All right. Jason, I know you've done a lot of Cascade largely because of your association with me, but what about you? What's your favorite since we've split up a little bit? Okay. 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 All right. Well, that's interesting. All right.
Man,
Yeah.
Challenger. I never thought anybody would say Challenger at all. Ever. Yeah, no, that's cool. I like it.
But on that topic, I remember early in my homebrewing career trying to be creative with bittering, and then I just kind of left it. And I went into the Bravos and give me something that's got 17, 18, 19% on it. It's like great, a little bit goes a long way for the bittering side, and then hit the other side with your expensive stuff.
And I will say a great product for that is CO2 extracts. I mean, it's a lot of bigger breweries, a lot of smaller breweries use that now because again, you're not taking up a lot of that wort, loss in the actual vegetable matter. It's clean bittering. It's a lot less expensive than buying bittering pellets in general, right? So just I'm glad you mentioned.
So when
that.
you say that, you're talking about like actual
CO2 extract.
like, yeah, it's like it's the alpha acid actual extract from the hop that is kind of sold separately.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's kind of like a yellowish, orangish, brownish, little. It's a pretty dense, viscous liquid. But yeah, it comes out, usually over 50% alpha acid. So you can just measure it by the milliliter. You add 1 milliliter to a 5-gallon batch, and you'll get, it's like 10 IBUs on a 1050 pail. So, it's really nice to dial in your bittering. And it's just a really nice clean bittering. Tends to be like a blend of some like Columbus, Tomahawk, Zeus, little Centennial, little Cascade, a little bit of this, a little bit of that, but it's just nice and consistent alpha.
And we do re-break those down into usable sizes, which are so you can buy by the can. What you're showing. So that's that's an investment because that's a lot of CO2. Or if you're brewing a lot, that's worth it. And then we also do them in the shots in syringes for more manageable quantities too. So, and then there's also the other product, Flex, which is a more flowable version of this. But any of these options are still achieving the same results of bittering. So,
how do you store those? Does that need to be? I've never used this product, but that's kind of interesting from a bittering standpoint. How do you store a can once you open it?
So if you're using like smaller doses, I would suggest, I think we call them hop shots. They come in little 3 milliliter and 10 milliliter like oral syringes. You just, squirt it out. The 3 milliliter has been like my standard dose for the longest time, because that's about 30 IBUs in a Sierra Pale clone. So that's pretty much the bittering backbone right there. Single use, squirt it in, toss it, ready to go.
You can put it back, but you can store it. You can put it back in the freezer and have it, right? I mean, stay.
Yeah, just keep it dark and cold.
Yep.
Sure. So
is equally risky to oxygen, I would imagine. So you gotta purge it out.
So it's pretty much one in, one out, because it is in that syringe, you're pushing it out. It doesn't have, contact to O2.
So what about?
But I think if you
tins?
Go ahead, Jeff. Yeah.
I'm thinking like tins. How would you store the tins, Caleb?
So the people the home brewers that buy those from us, they actually open them up and then they kind of heat it up. So because it's kind of like a wax if it's cold at room temperature. So they heat it up and then suck it into their own syringes.
Oh, and then store the syringes. Okay, that makes sense.
Yep. And
all right,
and the shelf life on that is 5 years, 10 years. I mean, it lasts forever.
If they're in the actual tins, those things last 10, 20 years. It's actually it turns into a commodity at that point, right? So I mean, these things are stored, built up in inventory and shipped all around the world.
So I'm pretty sure everyone here, I know Jason and I do it. I'm pretty sure you do, Tony. Scott, I'm not sure about you, but pretty sure we all use Beersmith as far as our way of building recipes and things. Do you have a profile in there for using this CO2 hop extract at all?
It was a recent update within the last year to Beersmith, but yeah, there is CO2 hop extract, and you can put in the alpha percentage.
Okay.
There was another program outside of Beersmith. I forget what it was that I was using for a while.
Brewer's Friend, I think is one.
Yeah, I think Beer Toad went under. I used them for a little while.
Oh, maybe it was Beer Toad. Those are great programs, though. Yeah, those are great.
Yeah, I've known a bunch of people that have used it and have really liked it. We got onto Beersmith early on in our how the hell do we build recipes thing and just kind of never looked back. Yeah.
I use
one of my favorite things is just like building recipes on Beersmith and then never brewing them.
Yeah.
And then it kind of gives you a little picture, like this is what it's going to look like, and you're like, cool, I worked hard today, I did something.
Looks like Scott has.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's matching it. Sometimes it's matching it to a water profile in a certain city, and you don't always want to go to a city profile.
Okay.
One of the things about the Bruin water tool is that you're going for like yellow balanced, yellow full body. You're going based on the end result. Martin Brewingard's really good about stuff like that. So I will put my water into Beersmith, and I have done that. I test my water. In fact, shameless plug on westnewyorkbrews.com, although it's not running currently because I'm merging with another group. You can search for local water profiles based on your address. So if you live in Western New York, you can put in your address and it gives you the water profile of the closest member who sent me their profile.
Wow.
And it's all in West New York. It's all very similar water. It's all Lake Erie water. But still, I put in my profile into Beersmith and I'll say I want it to be like Dublin water. And I'll say my profile, starting profile, Village of Hamburg, target profile Dublin, and then I'll just click a button. It'll let me know what brewing minerals to put in there to match Dublin's not really parts per million, but ratios.
Yeah.
Which is great as long as you're using a beer profile that's actually what the brewers use.
Right.
In those,
Yeah, and that's what we basically use Bruin water for as well. Just and one of the things I like about that system is it has kind of the generic ones is like full bodied yellow beer,
That's what I
and
mean.
things and you can be a little bit more generic with it. So
First thing I do when I try a new style is I'll look for a Martin Brewingard article, one that he wrote about that style, and see what he did to his water and why.
okay.
Because if you're going for
interesting.
a Vienna water, for example, they're not using just tap water in Vienna.
They're treating it. Yeah.
Yeah, or they're pre-boiling. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Or their water in Vienna is what, notoriously soft. So maybe they're adding minerals to it, or they've just been adding certain things to it over hundreds of years. So the typical water profile in Vienna is not what the brewers are using.
Right. Right. So
You're wrong. I was thinking of Pilsen.
I mean,
you
water,
were thinking of pills.
It seems to me the most high caliber breweries I've been to take water very seriously, right? So I think the water profiles sometimes is overlooked about how much it does contribute to the overall tasting profile of the beer.
Yeah.
It's cool.
Yeah, somebody once said to me that water is like 90% of the beer. Why would we ignore it? So it's yeah.
It's true. It does often get overlooked though, so
yeah. No, and it's that step if you're getting into brewing, it's easily ignored step and you can still make good beer. But it's that way to go from good beer to great beer is really kind of paying attention to your water more.
Yeah, you get to that 80% of a good beer, but to get to that next like 20% where you're like, separate yourself from others, you got to go with those little details, whether it's water or whatever. But yeah.
Right. Yeah, for sure. So, hey guys, I'd be remiss if I didn't bring this up because I'm really curious about this Barth Haas hop aroma standards kit. It looks like to be a relatively new thing for you, but what's going on here? Because it seems like it's something to help analyze the aroma of beer, or
so it's a learning tool, and it's a way to standardize how we talk about aromas and flavors in beer, right? Because just because I say something is fruity, what is that valuable information to you? So we need to learn to smell the exact same things, talk about them in the exact same ways, and that's how you can actually learn and develop like that common language about sensory, because it is so difficult.
Yeah.
What's nice about this kit though, like it does transcend just the craft beer industry. I know like the wine industry or anything involved with sensory. This is a good tool for that, right? And especially training staff members that are maybe that work at a brewery to understand what kind of flavors to look for in beers when describing them to customers. I mean, it's a good learning tool throughout the entire either on the business side, but also on the actual production side. Which you guys are doing, right, as a home brewer, to learn, more how to get these flavors or how to identify them and when describing your beers.
Yeah. So at the highest level, it's just 12 aromas and flavors, and they're isolated hop terpenes. So some of them are individual terpenes or aromas, others are combinations, to achieve that. But yeah, they're naturally occurring compounds found in hops, and then just isolated, stuck in these little tubes, and then you just simply unscrew the cap and give it a sniff, wave it under your nose, and pass it to your friend.
Yeah, and you seem to run the gamut of it too, because it goes from woody aromatic to menthol, herbal, spicy, grassy, vegetal, floral, citrus, sweet fruit, green fruit, berry and currant, and cream caramel. Like that just like runs the gamut of different sensory.
You know what's interesting? When I look at like how people describe these sensory panels, and they get specifics sometimes. It's like when you look at like the spider webs or whatever, and there's no uniformity or standardization, it seems like, which is totally cool. But a lot of these can be in broader genres, and I think that's what the idea of this is. It's not like specifically like melon or this or that. It's kind of like fruity, citrusy. It kind of incorporates all. You tell us if it smells like melon, right? I mean, it's in that a citrus category, but like give us, I think it leaves it up to people to interpret their own subjectiveness to it. And then we're also using that same lexicon on our descriptors for varieties that we sell to consumers. So they'll be on the cans, they'll be on the website at some point. So those we're trying to use that same language throughout the entire process at Yakima Valley Hops.
So. Yeah, and how this, the hop standard kit came about is before brewers come out to Yakima to select in the fall, a lot of them do these like sensory training panels. So they'll have like lime peel, lemon peel, coriander, all these, tons and tons and tons of aromas, unique aromas, and they all smell them, sit down with their brewers, and that's how they kind of use it to like calibrate their noses before they come out for selection. But then too, like, that's still not entirely, standard, because like a blood orange doesn't, smell the same as like a regular orange. So this is just taking it a step further to more standardize.
True. Like for hop selection, to retrain your nose, like, hey, these are what these smells are. And then it makes better decisions in terms of what they're selecting for their hops for for the entire year that they're using in production is a very beneficial and essential tool. So.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, man, you can pick up stuff on your palate pretty easily, but I know that. Yeah, that's. I'm actually considering grabbing it myself.
Hey, Caleb will send you one.
Caleb will send me one.
Caleb will send you one.
That's what I'm hearing.
Yeah. Shoot me your email address, your shipping address.
All right.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, I'm gonna look into it as soon as I can get together with my homebrew club again.
Yeah, no kidding. Yeah, there's that.
Yeah. So what are you guys doing for meetings? Do you guys virtually meet or you just cancel them?
Well, depends on the club you're talking about, but the big one that we're a part of in Illinois, they're doing virtual meetings twice a week, I think, at this point, right?
Wow.
Twice a week.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Yeah. Yeah. Hmm.
You know, a good example, which I'm now thinking about, is SJ Pour Challenge, where they've had a system where you ship the beers to people to individually review. You know, some sort of,
Oh.
you know, yeah, maybe you have to adapt and kind of and
That feels like it'd be a lot bigger investment of
yeah, they need
beer.
sponsorship. Yeah, they need sponsorships where they contact us. But
Yeah.
that might not be financially feasible. I'm just throwing that out there. It depends how big your club is.
Well, I was thinking more for the home brewer, because you're gonna have to send your beer to multiple different places rather than just like 2 bottles dropped off somewhere, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, maybe I'm thinking about it wrong. I don't know how they're doing it.
No, they send their beer, I think, to a single location, and then they send it out to the beer judges.
Oh, okay.
Correct?
Yeah,
Okay.
exactly. Yep. There's
Yeah,
just a
but
single
that's-
mailing address. Everybody sends their beer there, and then they split it up to the judges that way. But then,
Okay.
yeah, so
But there's cost to that for sure.
Oh,
so,
sure.
Yeah, it's not going to work for everyone. I'm just throwing that out there that maybe could work for some people.
Yeah. Which I totally get. I'm behind it. I'm glad they did it. I don't want, but I was so proud of that beer that I entered in there. That could go places.
well, now for the rest of your life, you can say that it would have been a winner.
And I will.
would have won that competition.
And I absolutely will.
I drank all my competition beers because I couldn't put them in.
Yeah. That's all you can do. Yeah. So, yeah. You did.
Yeah, she's barking because my wife's on the phone, and my wife always gives her treats when she can't get her to shut up. So,
Well, that's probably why she can't get her to shut
Yeah,
up.
it's exactly the training. Who's training who?
Right, exactly.
My 6-year-old does something very similar.
I will say this dog loves barrel-aged beer. She cannot wait. When I throw stuff in the barrel and it seeps out, she's like underneath that thing.
She looks a little Jack Russell-ish.
Yeah, she is.
Yeah. Love those dogs.
Yeah.
It's a good breed.
Yeah, I've got 2 downstairs. I've got a brown and a porter. In fact, the porter's been in the barrel for a year, so I really need to get it out.
Oh, wow.
Haven't had the time.
Where have you gone?
Well, I pulled a few samples because I'm sure the Angels actually don't drink as much as seems to have disappeared. So,
actually, if you love doing barrel aged beers, I should send you some of this stuff called Provoke. It's a new product, new hop product. There's 2 versions. They actually take hops and then like grind up barrels, bourbon barrels, oak barrels. So there's 2 versions, one with an untoasted oak and another one with toasted oak. And it's just wood chips in with the pellets, and you use it for dry hopping. And they say like 2 to 5 days, and you get the same barrel aged character just because the surface area is so much greater.
Wow.
So it's I've tried 2 beers with it, and they were both really smooth, pulled out some of like that vanillin, but yeah, just really nice and easy.
does it come out if you dry hop with it? Will it settle? Do you cold crash it out like you might another hop?
Yeah, you do got to cold crash it. I haven't heard of anybody needing to use like gelatin or anything that severe to get it down, but yeah, just cold crash it, and all the particulates drop out.
Cool.
Huh. That's interesting.
There's a lot of new products coming out. That's what's cool about
the
industry in general, right? The brewing industry in general. And the strongest pillar is homebrewers experimenting with stuff, because you guys have time, and it's like a hobby as opposed to like a business venture per se. So it's really cool for us to incorporate the homebrew perspective and get people to try these new products, which is an influence on the craft world. I mean, a lot of people don't talk about it, but a lot of brewers that work at major craft breweries will look to homebrewers of what they're doing and kind of try to replicate that in their own experiments.
Hey,
Well, I
Jeff,
feel safe speaking for every home brewer on this live cast that if you need a guinea pig, let us know, because we'll definitely be willing to do that. So
Yeah, we have a few products that are going to be released soon that we can send you guys to try out and maybe talk about in the future. So,
hey,
absolutely. Yeah.
Can I ask Jeff a question?
Yeah, go ahead.
So I've been thinking about this bittering charge, as you mentioned, the syringe thing. Are you guys in the manufacturing and packaging of that product, or what's your role in that?
So I guess I'll speak a little bit before how we came to these advanced products. 6 years we've been building this company up, and then within this past year we have a strategic partnership with Barth Haas Group. So Barth Haas have been around for about 200 plus years. They're probably their largest hop merchant in the world in terms of moving hops globally. They have offices and facilities in Germany. They own Hop Products Australia. They have a facility in Hong Kong and South America, I think in Brazil. But so they have huge investments into R&D. They have multiple different sectors in terms of what they are trying to achieve. One of them is advanced products. What are products that brewers could use in different ways? And they're the ones that came out incognito, or they're the ones that have the CO2 infrastructure to extract the alpha out of the pellets. I mean, so if you're thinking about putting a CO2 plant in, you're looking at $10+ million investment, plus you got to have people to run it. So there's only 3 entities that have the capabilities of doing that. So that's kind of why we have access to these new portfolio of products, and then they're committed with us to get them into the homebrewing world. And they're good at creating these products. They're not necessarily good at getting them out there to the markets they want to, right? They're used to catering to the bigger markets, like AB and Bev or whoever else, right? Or like the Sierra Nevadas. They get first level access, but they wanted to have a strategic partnership with us to get access for you guys in smaller craft breweries, under 1,000 barrels. So that's leading into that, I can give you contacts for people that work in those departments that you guys can have on to interview and kind of engage those questions, because I can't really speak to it because I'm not involved in those processes. But yeah, they're doing some very progressive stuff, and then we have 2 new products that we'll launch this in the next 3 to 4 months, which we can send to you guys early to test out as well. But yeah, they really appreciate your guys' feedback. They see it online. They see people using it. So it's really cool that they've kind of positioned to just catering to the bigger guys, founders, Sierra Nevada or whatever, and really understanding that we want to get these products out to people that actually can experiment with them and share that information so everybody can then make decisions whether they want to try these out on a craft brew perspective, right? So
George, they need my email address.
Yeah.
Sounds like
Caleb can get you guys so yeah.
Yeah, a thought that I had was, considering that you guys are kind of on the green side with your packaging, is if they could get that CO2 extract and almost either A, like a gel cap, or B, almost like a chewable, like a weed chewable that's, you rip off the tab and throw one in there. There's 30 IBU, drop it in, boom, done. There's 30 in a pack, so I could still spend $50. I just know it's 4 years worth of bittering charges.
Exactly. So I've thought about that charge idea, and I trademarked the name Hop Bombs. like this like pill that you throw in, it would dissolve. And that's for before cryo came out. It was very similar material. This is a very similar process. Yes, I think those, the best syringes are probably not the most eco-friendly. There's other ways of packaging these things, but you have to have the resources to develop, spend the time and develop these things, and then you got to buy like, for example, we were thinking about ketchup packets, right? To put the CO2 extract in. Well, you got to get a machine that'll put it in those packets, right? Just like a Mylar machine,
Right?
And whatever. And that's a huge investment. There's a long series of things to get to that level. I'm thinking about those things. We'll see how far we can get to them. I mean, it's the value of time right now. Like our value of time is, on hold because it's C19, but or canning, for example. But we will get to that level where I think that's a great idea, right? So gel, throw it in there, one use. That's for 5 gallons. If you do 10 gallons, to put 2. I think standardization of those products is very beneficial for just educational and just usability of these products too. So we are thinking about this.
Knowing Tony, can you make it like a Flintstones vitamin? He wants to throw a Flintstones vitamin into his beer.
It's a jelly, eh?
Although it's got to be shaped like a Ray Daniels or a Stan Hieronymus.
Yeah.
Right, throwing in a little Stan Hieronymus hop bomb.
That'd be cool.
Yeah.
Or like, just like a little hop cone that looks like it or whatever. Yeah, like press.
Yeah. No, that would probably make more sense. But yeah.
But that's what's cool about our crossroads of this industry is that that innovation is here and it's coming more and more, which is really cool. And everyone's very active to create these new products. And whether it's saving money or efficiencies, I mean, those are kind of like the two main goals. I think of these things. So
sure. Yeah, and for home brewers, I know a lot of us are once we get to a certain point, it's all about we want to make the best beer that we can without, having to screw with a lot of the extra bits. Like if there was a way, and this whole bittering idea of using these syringes appeals to me because that means you have less loss due to the pellet tube and everything, at the bottom. So you add this in as a bittering, and then you have the flexibility of aroma hops, but then you lose less in the long run. And I like that idea. I think that's something I'd love to experiment with. So and I'm not above. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, and to like take it one step further. So the CO2 extract has been around for a while. It's, widely accepted, used a lot. John I. Haas, Barth Haas, they just announced this new product called Incognito. And it's a single hop, single crop year, full spectrum extract. So it's all the alphas, all the terpenes, all the aroma compounds in a completely vegetative free form. So it's a flowable liquid extract. And it's, incredible. I've tried a couple experimental beers where they only use the extracts, the CO2 for the bittering, and then the Incognito for the aroma flavoring. And it doesn't, miss a beat.
Nice. Okay.
It is cool to see. I think Sierra Nevada, I keep bringing them up, but because they were using whole cones, right? They got kind of pushed in a corner to continue using that. A lot of all the new beers that are coming out with, they're using pellets, right?
Right.
So I think the stigma using, being a purist about it per se, I think that's kind of like washed away as time has gone on and information keeps spreading throughout the internet. And people are realizing the advantages, like you've stated just moments ago. So
yeah, and it's kind of about like building like a spice cabinet or like a toolbox. Incognito doesn't work for every single recipe. Like it's not great in every single recipe, but if you're hopping at 5 pounds per barrel, you throw some Incognito in there as a pellet replacement and you get zero process loss. So it's not perfect for every beer, but the beers that it is perfect for, it's like it shines.
Nice. All right. Well, if none of the other guys have any specific questions for you, did you have anything that you wanted to highlight? We've talked a lot about, a lot of the stuff you guys have coming up, but did you have anything you wanted to highlight since you're here?
I think the aroma standards kit, that's something new and fun for us. The hops and cans, that's also new and fun. That's going to be more of like a mainstream offering from us going forward.
We hope to be at HomebrewCon in June. Hopefully the BA doesn't cancel it. I guess we'll see what happens with the situation.
Yeah, we hope to be there too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yep.
I think
Yeah.
so. The BA, we had this program called the Hop Source where they have a breeding program. They took over one of the breeding programs. And we had the sensory analysis at our place, and they had to make budget cuts, and we're not doing it this year. But they will be at GABF, so anyone that's going to that event can participate. And I highly recommend that, because that feedback helps give direction of where they should be allocating their breeding resources.
Okay.
But otherwise, we will be doing a first time ever Facebook Live tomorrow with an actual commercial hop farmer in Yakima, talking about growing hops, if anyone's interested. Because like you were saying earlier, and we talked about it in the very early part of this on your webcast, is there is so many variables in terms of talking about growing hops, and we think this is going to be beneficial for learning directly from the source who's growing them commercially and has a lot of personal firsthand experience. So we will be doing tomorrow 11 Pacific time. But otherwise, we would love any sort of feedback or suggestions, and any other way that we can incorporate with the homebrew community and you guys as well. We really appreciate your support and getting us on here to take the opportunity to talk about a lot of our products. So yeah, so Kev.
It'll be on Facebook Live. Yeah.
I assume we could just jump off of your Facebook presence, Yakima Valley Hops.
Correct. Yeah. I think it's, facebook.com/Yakima Hops, but.
So it'll be Loza Farms, and they're about, I think, 1,000 to 1,500 acre farm at this point.
Wow.
It's pretty big. Yeah. All the major commercial farmers are that big. I mean, or that's on the small end. I mean, they're bigger than that, right?
Sure.
But he's a very personable person, and any sort of questions involved with that. And then also we'll follow up, so you guys can also bring the technical side from Haas. I think that would be really cool for the homebrew perspective, and they really would love to do that too. Is talk about a lot of these products or kind of like where their research is headed or guided to in the future.
Okay.
And they're really open to feedback as well. So.
And they have all the PhDs, so they're kind of smart.
Yeah, I think they have like 6 PhDs on staff in the United States. They have 5 in Germany. I mean, they're very committed. They also own this company called Beta Tech, and they're trying to find other uses for hops. And Beta Tech has commercially released these products that utilize hops that help bees in terms of mitigation of, I think it's a virus, or is it parasite?
The varroa mite.
The varroa mite.
Oh, it's a mite. Yeah. Oh,
so
those are the worst
the
for
beta
bees.
Acids.
So hops are directly contributing towards this. So the bees will go in, they'll get coated with this solution, and it acts as a kind of a shield against these varroa mites, which is very interesting. So this company is still actively involved in how do we utilize hops in different areas or industries in that research development side too. But
that's very cool.
I mean, yeah. So their main focus though is brewing beer, right? Craft beer in general. So those applications. So
yeah, when you talk about it in other applications, the first thing that came to my mind is there's a company based in Virginia called Devil's Backbone that no, I'm sorry, not Devil's Backbone. It's who am I thinking of? Bold Rock is a cidery out here that they hop they have a couple varieties that they hop, and it really adds an interesting flavor to the cider itself. That that's slightly bitter, because the ciders are typically a little bit more sweet or tart, and that bitter flavor from the hops, it adds an interesting dimension. It doesn't appeal to everybody, but I like it. I think it's an interesting. So that's where I thought you were going. I didn't think you were going to bees, but
Yeah. Well, that's just one example, of the, we're talking about PhDs or whatever. I mean, they're very dedicated, allocating resources to the research and development of
Sure.
their products and hops. So, you don't know
hops,
until
hops are definitely like complex things, because they're also experimenting with like xanthohumol, which is a hop. It's present in hops. It's a plant estrogen basically. So using that for certain things, the beta acids, they put them in diapers as like antimicrobials. There's like tons of different hop.
It's amazing how much we don't know about this plant, right? I mean, and I assume that goes for tons of other, materials out there, plant materials. You don't know until you put the research into it.
Yeah, I mean, botany is a big thing about that. It's like you never know till you try, kind of thing. So
from pharmaceuticals to this,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. All right. Well. Mm-hmm.
We like the Instagram. We're on Twitter every once in a while. We hang out on Reddit, so we're around.
Caleb is very active in the Reddit community, and I didn't realize how powerful Reddit really is. I mean, it's a great outlet for the home community.
Yeah.
It really is. It's amazing. Yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh, actually, yeah. So this is my living room, my official home office at the moment. But yeah, we Yakima Valley Hops. We do a. Can you read that a little bit? The late edition podcast. So we talk with local industry people, just brains in the industry here in town, and yeah, farmers, scientists. Yeah, talked with a guy down in Brazil. He's trying to grow his own hops down there. So there's like a dozen episodes out right now.
Okay. Similar guests that you guys should have on for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I will say the name came from my business partner. It's probably one of the best things he's ever done. I was like, late edition? Oh, that's perfect.
That's kind of how A Nice Place to Brew came from. It's a play on the town slogan for Darien, which is where Jason lives, which is a nice place to live, which also happens to be the town slogan for why am I blanking? No. One specific in Back to the Future, the Hill Valley.
Hill Valley.
Yeah, it's also and we're both big fans of Back to the Future, so we decided we're just going to call it A Nice Place to Brew. So,
I love it.
Yeah,
as everybody should be, huge fans of Back to the Future.
Oh well, yeah, absolutely,
of course.
It's a great movie.
So, yeah.
Yeah, we really appreciate the invitation. It was a lot of fun. Yeah, thanks for including us. And we will be in touch. We'll shoot you some aroma kits and CO2 extract and see what you guys think about them. And yeah, be sure to let us know.
Okay.
Yeah, and a couple other products. We'll send you a couple other new products too.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
How about this hoodie? We got these nice hoodies.
I don't have beer.
I know, I'm a little low myself.
You can't cheers without beer. Hold on. Okay.
Yeah, come on, man.
25 seconds. Hold on.
All right. Yep.
Here's y'all.
Cheers.
Cheers.